안녕하세요. Raise your hand. 손을 드세요. 손을 드세요. Today's topic is 세요. Okay, let me talk about agreement first. In English, the student love their professor. Between the subject and verb, we need agreement. So that means when the subject is singular, for a verb, we need to put s there. Thus, this is agreement. So when shall we put s behind the verb? When the subject is third person singular and the verb has present tense. Between the subject and verb, we need agreement. Okay, so this is agreement with the subject. In Korean language, 교수님이 professor, 학생을 student 사랑해요. love. 교수님이 학생을 사랑해요. When the subject, here the subject is 교수님, and the subject need to be respected, we need to put 께서 instead of 이, 께서, and we also need to put she behind the verb, behind the root verb. So here 사랑, why there is no ing? Okay, anyway, 사랑하세. This is she. So this is she. When the subject need to be respected, we need to put 께서 and she. So this is agreement with the subject. Okay, so in Korean language, whether the subject is singular or plural is not important. So for us, the important thing is whether the subject need to be respected or not. Okay, so this is agreement. And we also have agreement with the listener. Okay, so when you want to be polite to the listener, we put yo. This one, yo. Okay, so this is agreement in Korean language. So when the subject need to be respected, we need to put she and 께서. That is agreement between subject and verb. Okay, in Korean language, pre-final endings are optional. So here we put tense and she, right? So behind the root verb, first respect to the subject. That is the first pre-final ending. And second, tense. And behind the tense, we need final endings. So, but final ending is for the politeness to the listener. That is final endings. So, for example, when the root verb is 쓰다, 쓰, respect to the subject is she. When you want to respect the subject, we need to put she there. So this was agreement. And tense for past tense, that's ought. Okay, and then polite to the listener. If you want to be polite to the listener, you put here because ought is dark vowel, so we put yo. Okay, and then as you see just a while ago, odd is tense and odd is a kind of pre-final ending. So if you omit the tense, that means this is a present tense. Okay, and then we put 어요. So 쓰세요. Okay, 쓰세요. And she. So if you want to respect the subject, you can put she. But if you do not want to respect the subject, you can omit she. Okay, and tense odd is a past tense. But if you don't want to put past tense, if you want to make it present tense, you just omit odd. And 쓰 is dark vowel, we put 어요. When meets other vowel, is omitted. So the result is 써요. 쓰세요, 써요. Okay, so as you see, the pre-final endings are optional. If you want to respect the subject, put she. But if you don't want to respect the subject, you don't need to put she there. She. Okay, and if you want to make it past, you put at or at had, right? But if you don't want to make it into past tense, so you just want to make the sentence to present tense, just when you don't put anything, that is present tense. Okay, so pre-final endings are optional. And she has two forms, as we studied our earlier unit. There are two forms for she, she, and she. So she is a pre-final endings. So in front of pre-final endings, when the verb has 받침, she. When the verb has no 받침, she. And behind the she, we need final endings. So here we are going to choose informal, polite, ayo, oyo, heo. And she is dark vowel, so we are going to put oyo and oyo. And the second step was when you put ayo, oyo, heo, the second step is whether it has 받침, no 받침. So she, no 받침, contraction. So she, in short, 세. So 으세요, 세요. So for she, we have two forms, 으세요 and 세요. Okay, so read. Read is 읽다, 읽. So behind the 읽, we put 의시. So this 의시 is respect to the subject. And then when you want to put informal polite, step one, we have four types of informal polite. 아요, 어요, 여요, 에요. And yoyo is for hada verb, so we don't need to consider. And eo is for verb be, so we don't need to consider now. So here 읽으시, she is dark vowel, so we are going to choose 어요, 읽으시 어요. Okay. Now we are talking about when you want to ask your student to read out loud. Then you can say 읽으시 어요. Okay, 읽으시 어요. This one. So second step is 읽으시 plus 어요, and because she has no 받침 contraction, so 읽으세요, right? So whenever you say 세요, there is she. Okay, so she means respect to the subject. 읽으세요 means read out loud, please. Read out loud, please. 읽으세요. And she with informal final endings. Behind the ga, when there is no she means no respect to the subject. And present tense, when there's nothing, it is present tense. And okay, simply is the final ending when you talk with the younger people or your friend. So together, ga, go, ga. Okay, go, ga. So ga shows that no respect to the subject and not polite to the listener. So to your friend, you don't need to respect. You don't need to be polite. Okay, so simply ga. Okay. And ga, when there is no she, no respect to the subject, and present tense, and yo. Here we put yo. So this yo is polite to the listener. So altogether, 가요, 가요. Please go. Okay, please go. Here, no respect to the subject and polite to the listener. Even though the listener is younger than you, if you want to be polite, you can say this way. 가요 is possible. 가요. Okay. Last one is 가 plus she. Now you put she. So she shows that this is the respect to the subject. Present, and she is dark vowel 어요. So 가시 어요. In short, 가세요. Okay. So what is the difference between 가요 and 가세요? For 가세요, we put she there. So this is respect to the subject and polite to the listener. Okay. So in Korean language, 가, go, 가요, go. But 가세요 is like a please go or go please. 네, 가세요. The meaning is the same, but the context or the politeness is different. Okay, so how do you say write down please in Korean language? Oh, write down please. So number one, 쓰세요. Number two, 써요. Number three, 써. So which one is correct when you say write down please? 쓰세요 is 쓰 plus 시 plus 어요. 쓰시 어요 together 쓰세요. So she is respect to the subject, and 요 is polite to the listener. So when you say 쓰세요 is 쓰세요 has respect and polite to the listener and subject. But when you say write down please, who is the subject? You is the subject, right? And who is the listener? You is the listener. So in this situation, the subject and listener is the same. So that means 쓰세요 is quite polite. And number two is 쓰 plus 노시어요. So here, no respect to the subject, but polite to the listener. How about 써? 써 is 쓰 plus 어. So no respect and no polite. So here, as you see in English, there is a please. So this please, maybe you can choose between 쓰세요 and 써요. Both are okay, 쓰세요 or 써요. But we prefer 쓰세요. Okay? So why do we need she? Why do we need she there? Do we need to when we command, do we need to respect the listener? Respect the subject? This is important. When asking, the more polite, the better. Okay? The more polite, the better. So that's why we need to put she there. 쓰세요 is better. 쓰세요, 읽으세요 is better. Okay, we already studied this, but let's review it because this is quite important. She is pre-final endings, so behind pre-final endings, we need final ending. Okay, how about in front of she, we need root verb. Okay, 자다, what is 자다? To sleep. But these fives are exception. When this root verb meets she, the root form changes. So for example, when 자 meets she, 자세요? No. 주무세요. 주무시다. Okay, so root verb changes. No more 자. Okay, 먹다. When they are combined with she, 드시, right? 드시. And 마시, same. 마시, 드시. 드세요. And 있다, be there or stay. 있다 when they are combined with she, 계시다, 계시. Okay, and 없다, is not there. So 안 계시다. Okay, 주무시다, 드시다, 계시다, 안 계시다. These are exceptions, so you need to memorize. Okay, let's practice. 읽다, informal polite without she first. 읽어요. 읽 is dark vowel, we put 어요. And she, because 읽 has 받침, we need 읽으시어요. So together, 읽으세요. Okay. 읽으세요. What happened here? Okay. 앉다 is 앉아요. And also 받침, so 앉으세요. Okay, something wrong here. 쓰다, 써요. And she, 쓰 no 받침, so 쓰세요. And 먹다, 먹어요. And 먹 plus she, the root form changes. 드시, so 드세요. And lastly, 주다, 줘요. 주어요, contraction, 줘요. And she, no contraction, 주세요. Okay, 창문 닫다. 창문 is window, close the window. 창문을 close window please. 닫 has 받침, 으세요. 창문을 닫으세요. 학교 일찍 오다. 학교 school 일찍 early 오다 come to school early. To school 학교에 to school and early 일찍 and come O 플러스 세요. 오케이? 오세요. 학교에 일찍 오세요. 맛있게 먹다. 맛있게 in English, deliciously. Yeah, of course that doesn't make sense, but we say this way: deliciously eat. So in English, enjoy yourself to the food is deliciously eat. Okay, so deliciously 맛 있게 맛있게 we pronounce 맛있게 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 and 먹 플러스 세요. The root form changes. 드세요. 맛있게 드세요. 맛있게 드세요. Politely ask. 안녕히 자다. 안녕히 means safely. Safely sleep. So please safely sleep, please. So that means good night. 안녕히 and space 자다. When 자 meets she, the root form changes. Do you remember? 주무시. So 주무세요. 안녕히 주무세요. Between friends 잘 자. Okay? Between friends 잘 자. 빨리 오다. 빨리 오다. 빨리 in space 오다. 오 플러스 세요. 오세요. 빨리 오세요. Hurry up. Hurry up. Fast come. Quickly come. So that means hurry up. 빨리 오세요. 빨리 오세요. 조용히 하다. 조용히 하다. Quiet, do quietly. So that means 조용히 하다, do quietly, and this means be quiet. Be quiet. Please be quiet. 조용히 하세요. 조용히 하세요. 일찍 집 가다. 일찍 go home early. Go home early. 일찍 or you can say 집에 first. 일찍 and 집 at to house. 집에 and go 가 플러스 세요. 일찍 집에 가세요. 한 잔, 잔 한 커피 주다. Okay, right? So a cup of coffee, please. Give me a cup of coffee. So a cup of coffee in Korean language, 커피 and one 한 and counting unit 잔. So a cup of coffee, 커피 한 잔 and 주다. give me 주 플러스 세요. 커피 한 잔 주세요. 잠깐만 기다리다. 잠깐만 is a moment. So 잠깐만 for a moment. 잠깐만 and 기다리 wait. 기다리 wait. So 기다리 노받침 세요. 잠깐만 기다리세요. 야, 어서 오다. 어서 오다. And 어서 means this is also fast. Hurry up and come. So 어서 오세요. Maybe we can say in English this is welcome actually. Welcome. 어서 hurry and 오세요. Come. Welcome. 어서 오세요. 안녕히 가세요. Bye bye. Okay, that's it. 감사합니다.